So throughout the show today, we've learned that identifying our fears is a good step towards managing them. But you might also want to consider meditation. Through mindfulness, we can train the mind to observe uncomfortable or scary thoughts without getting all caught up in them. Seattle acupuncturist and health educator Amy Zoe Darling shows us how.
There are so many traditions of meditation, right? So many different ones, and the foundation, sort of where they all land together, is the tuning in. Fundamentally tuning into the physical body, fundamentally tuning into the mental, the heart, mind. And so in terms of fear, first we take the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system down a notch, the heart rate, the blood pressure, etc. And in relationship to the mind, there's the possibilities for some agency, a different sense of freedom in relationship to our thoughts. So you might disagree with your neighbor or your child about something. We don't have to agree with our minds all the time too, right? Like they go down a rabbit hole of fear and catastrophizing, and we can actually develop the capacity to hold up and be like, oh, actually, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
So that cognitive piece of kind of reminding ourselves that we have a choice is very key. But let's just talk about those first moments of fear. And you were talking about the parasympathetic nervous system. How do we slow that down?
The sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, we can engage a sensation of our feet on the ground, and particularly tuning into the exhale. And by engaging those two things, we actively can decrease the heart rate, decrease the blood pressure. I think it's really important to recognize too, though, mindfulness practices and meditation practices really have to be individual. So if somebody is in full-blown panic, having them tune into the breath can actually trigger more anxiety. So for an individual, it may be worthwhile to tune into sound, to tune into the field of sounds of my voice, of the sound of the light well, of my clinic mate, to connect to something outside of one's own body.
When you say just listen to sound, does that mean it's music or kind of tapping against something? What is it?
No, you don't have to do anything special. You just show up where you are. So if you're panicked in the middle of being on the bus, you tune into the sounds on the bus. The sound of the voice of somebody talking on the phone next to you, the sound of the driver, the sound of your own heartbeat. It's like really feeling your feet on the ground and showing up in those life circumstances just as they are.
All right, but so we are dealing with something that isn't level of panic, but we do need to take a deep breath. Can you walk us through a breathing exercise?
Yeah, and I'll just say as like a preface to this, to just be reverent and attentive for those who come from a history of trauma, be it in response to systemic oppression and racism or early childhood abuse or whatever the case may be, that we have to tiptoe into meditation and mindfulness with some reverence and caution, but just to be attentive to tiptoeing gently, kindly, and then reaching out for support through a mentor, through a therapist, through a trauma-informed somatic healer for support in experiencing that. So I just want to name that beforehand. So in terms of walking through, we can all feel our feet on the ground. And that includes you, that includes your whole production team, the people who are doing the lighting and the photography, the people who, took out the trash and did the custodial work. We can all feel our feet on the ground.
Yes.
And pay particular attention to the exhale. And exhale to the very, very bottom of the breath. And if it feels comfortable, you can draw something tight, like tightening your hand into a clenched fist, or tightening your jaw, or scrunching up your toes with the inhale, and with the exhale, releasing, softening, and opening. And in doing that, a few more cycles of breath, and actually really tuning into the exhale, just feel that. Exhaling, releasing, and letting go.
That does feel really good. I actually almost feel a little bit floaty.
It can happen in a very, very short period of time. We spend so much in this culture, we spend so much time sort of disconnected from our bodies. There's this natural mechanism with the exhale of kind of coming back again and again and again, and it doesn't take very long. We can just land home.
And I love that we can do this anywhere. We can do, I like that you mentioned that it can be on the bus, it can be in your place of work. And do you need a lot of time for that particular exercise? How much time should we put aside for breathing like that?
It's so individual, Amity. It
Okay.
really has to be within the texture. You know, if you're a mom working 2 or 3 jobs full time and raising 4 kids, like it's the moment as you put your hand on the door handle to turn the door going into your child's bedroom.
I feel that. I've been there. I'll tell you that. Yeah, so Amy also offers a free lunch hour meditation session. It's every Monday from 12:30 to 1 o'clock, and it's currently virtual due to the pandemic. You can text the word meditate to 206-448-4545. We'll send you a link to more information.